It's Twitter time. We asked you to submit questions using the hashtag SNYJets.
Got some good ones?
Lukey is going to answer them. You ready? I got them all right here.
All right, let's go.
Here we go. First one comes from Tom Nolan. He asked the question, which previous high draft pick from the Rex era needs to step it up the most this year? Is it Coples? Is it Kyle Wilson? Is it Stephen Hill?
How about all three of those boys got to step up? But I'm going to talk about Stephen Hill just for the main fact. He was drafted in the second round to be a speedster, to get down the field and stretch that defense out. A lot of missed games, a lot of missed practices. You know, you're bringing guys like Saunders. You're bringing a guy like Jason Morrow. You got David Nelson on the outside, Curly in the slot. This young man right here has to have a great training camp if he even wants to be on the team, Brian. I think that he's got to prove himself. The big spotlight is on number 84 right there. He has to have a great training camp if he's going to be a New York Jet in September.
Well, you know, the interesting thing, too, for Kyle Wilson, he's always had someone there to kind of pick up the slack for him. This was a first-round pick as well, but he had Revis, then he had Cromartie.
Correct.
Now both of those guys are gone. You need Kyle Wilson
but
to
again,
do something.
He was drafted to take Cromartie's spot. Never did. Has always been the nickel. Now, is this guy going to step up? Or they trust him enough to put him on the outside? I think not. I think Dimitri Patterson will be on the outside, and Kyle Wilson will stay in the slot.
All right, this next one comes from Claudia, and she asked the question, how reluctant will Rex and company be to put in Michael Vick?
Let me put it to you this way, and I can't sugarcoat it any longer. If they do not win this year and make the playoffs, Rex Ryan could be in danger of getting fired. He cannot wait to pull the trigger in week 6, week 7. If Geno Smith struggles early, and you see a lot of interception, you see a lot of inconsistency, Brian. You see him not making the right reads, you got to go to Michael Vick quick. That's why you brought him there. So you give Geno Smith enough rope to hang himself. If he plays well, that's fantastic. But if he doesn't, Rex Ryan's got to be quick to pull the trigger and put Michael Vick behind center.
How many games do you give him? I mean, you remember, it was the first. Listen, he was a rookie. So the first month last year was rough for him. How many games do you give him? Do you give him 4?
I give him 4.
The first month of the season?
Yeah, first month of the season. Plus, he's got a lot of weapons on offense, which he didn't have last year. You know, when you get a Johnson behind him, a Decker outside. I mean, and too, David Nelson was another guy who really stepped up at the end of that season right there. So, again, he's got the weapons that he needs right now. The offensive line, maybe a little question mark, but Geno Smith should be successful because everybody's practicing too, Brian, which a lot of wide receivers didn't last year.
This one comes from Kevin. He wants to talk about the defense. He says, will the defense be better this year than in 2013? Secondary was bad last season. Can't get much worse. What do you think?
Well, the defensive secondary can't get much worse than that. I think so. Dimitri Patterson, only 6 games right there. But the keynote, the big star, the front 7. The linebackers are fast. The front 7, to me, are unbelievable. When you can see why. Rush yards, 3rd. Now, pass yards, 22nd ranked, Brian. That has to come up. But when you get a front 7 that can sack the quarterback and force him to throw that ball, I think the defensive secondary ranked 22nd will come down to around 10, 11 next year.
I'm happy you mentioned the linebackers because this last tweet comes from Robert. Thank you for submitting yours. He asked the question, hey, Ray, how much more do you think Rex will lean on Demario Davis? He's a heck of a player.
Well, this is a guy who has speed and plays well downhill. He's sideline to sideline guy. I think now that he's in his third year, I think Demario Davis is going to be that captain of the defense. I know David Harris is there. Don't get me wrong. But Demario Davis is going to be asked to cover guys, tight ends. He's going to be asked to cover running backs out of the backfield because of his speed. So I think Rex Ryan's going to give him a full load, Brian, this season.
You know, David Harris had led the team again in tackles, as he always
does. Lunch pail guy.
Davis was right behind him, 107.
Yes.
You see, he is on the rise.